So bringing people to themselves, all right? So when I was, this opportunity came up to do a TEDx talk, I was like, wow. And I was so honored to be able to be in front of you all on this stage, because I looked at my life and I said, okay, yeah, I was a Heisman Trophy winner, and I played for your Miami Dolphins. And, yeah, right? And I got suspended, I think, 2 or 3 times for doing drugs. No clap? No. Okay. And I have, I think, 5 or 6, I'm not sure, kids from 3 different women. No clap? All right, so, and still, I was invited to be here in front of you speaking. So what is that, right? And when I first was asked, and I was talking with Haley about what I was going to do for my talk, it's one thing that I love to talk about is stories. I always loved stories when I was a kid. Whether it was listening to my grandmother tell stories or listening to my teacher read us a book, I always loved stories. Sunday school, my favorite story was, I was 4 years old in Sunday school, and the Sunday school teacher, which was my uncle, was telling us about this guy who could walk on water, he could touch people, and they would heal miraculously. And he could do all these amazing, he could turn water into wine. Wow, right? And I was like, wow, I want that. Yeah? And it's interesting. So when I heard this was the human experience, for me at that young age, I was like, wow, that's the human experience. And as I went out into the world to look for humans that were being that, I couldn't find any. And so I decided then, maybe this human experience isn't for me. And I said, what would it take for me to transcend the human experience? What would it take for me to have something greater than what everyone else is choosing? And then I noticed I could run really fast, so I was like, okay, put that on the list. I love to compete, put that on the list. And I was extremely intelligent, put that on the list, right? And so I kept moving in this place where I was looking to create my life so that I could have what that guy in that book had. That's what I wanted my life to be like. And I searched and I searched, and at first I said, you know, if I can be rich and famous and people love me, then I'll be beyond the human experience. And so I played football, I did great in high school, I went to the University of Texas, won the Heisman Trophy, the best player in college football. I broke the all-time rushing record, so the best running back in college football history, the touchdown record. And so I was like, oh, I finally made it. I was in for a rude awakening. I hadn't quite made it. And so I said, okay. So I said, I'll take the money and I'll play in the NFL for a little bit and see if something changes. So I did it, and actually things started going the opposite direction. And so I said, I had this awareness, like, wow, this dream I had, this idea of being rich and being famous and having all these things, it's not enough. I still want more. And I went back to that guy in the story. I said, I want to walk on water. I want to touch people and heal them. I want to turn water into wine. And so I said, what is that? What is that? I just kept asking questions. What is that? What is that? And I get a call from a friend one day, and she says, you know, I'm doing this really cool stuff. I think you'll like it. It's kind of weird, but I think you like it. So she sends me an email, and I look at the email, and it's about you can talk to your body, and your body will tell you stuff, and you could read people's minds. And I was like, that's kind of hokey. But there was a part of it that kind of matched what I heard in that book. That guy who could walk on water, who could touch people and heal them, and could turn water into, okay. So I said, okay, and I checked it out a little bit, and it had this funny name, access consciousness. And this word consciousness, I heard about it before. I took a psychology class, and conscious, unconscious, I'd heard it, but still, I wasn't really sure what it was. And so I went and I listened to this guy talk about consciousness. And when he was talking about it, I was like, that's what I've been looking for. That's what I've been looking for. And so what I'd like to talk about today is the value of consciousness, okay? And when I look around, I see that it's not something that people really value, and the main reason is because people don't really know what it is. So what is consciousness? So my definition of consciousness is, one, consciousness includes everything and judges nothing. And also, to me, consciousness is synonymous with oneness, right? And oneness to me is that, and consciousness is that space where you have everything available to you, right? And if you look at the way we start to eliminate having everything available to us, it's really the judgments we have. It's the lever, right? It's right or wrong. It's good or bad. And instead of really creating our lives and choosing what will really work for us, we get stuck in this polarity of running towards what is supposed to be good for us or what we're supposed to do and running away and avoiding all the things we're not supposed to do, right? And so moving forward, I'm like, this stuff is really cool. And so I start doing it. This is what I'm doing now. I'm facilitating consciousness. And so I go out and I talk to people about my life and about consciousness. And I started to get like, wow, people don't really want this stuff. And I was like, what is that? And I looked at it and I said, so if consciousness includes everything and judges nothing, what is unconsciousness? It's the addiction that we have to judgment, right? And all of us know one of the most painful things in the world is to feel judged, is to feel excluded, right? And it's been amazing sitting in the crowd and listening to the different talks today because it's really talked about consciousness, but it's been a little piece here, a little piece here, a little piece here, a little piece here, and a little piece here. And it's interesting that I'm, one of the last speakers, and I'm like having fun with this to see if I can add some clarity to show how all these pieces actually really paint this picture of oneness. And again, so oneness is where you get the sense that everything and everyone has your back, that everything and everyone is willing to contribute to you. That's oneness and that's consciousness. And the question I have is, you would not choose that for what reason? Fear, right? Okay. So, and I got a very good lesson on fear at a very young age. I had a really amazing mother. The only thing is she had a bit of a temper, and since I was kind of husky and big, that I got to be the dumping spot, literally the landfill of all the garbage she picked up, okay? And she was really tough, too. And so I remember one time, I was in the 4th grade, I got home from school, and I had a D on my report card, and I was so fear, to show my mom the report card. And so I show it to her, and she kind of flips, right? And I had been spanked so many times that she had to come up with creative ways to do it. And so this time she got socks, right? She got 4 socks, and she tied one leg to my bedpost, the other leg to the bedpost, one hand to the bedpost, and the other hand, and she beat me for about 15 minutes with an extension cord, all right? And so when she was done, she walked into her room, and I just was kind of shaking. I hate her. And you guys are supposed to laugh, okay? And so I untie myself, and she comes out of the room, and she says, I wasn't done yet, and so I get beat for another 7 minutes, 7.5 minutes, all right? And this happened pretty much throughout my childhood, and I love my mom to death, and I get it. I totally get it. She was doing what she thought she needed to do to raise a good son, right? Again, this whole judgment piece, right? And so, but what the valuable lesson that I learned from all that is that the pain of any punishment that anyone can dole out on me is nothing compared to the pain of choosing against myself. And that, to me, is the value of consciousness, that place where you know that you can handle anything, that everything around you, every person around you has your back. And again, I ask, you would not choose that for what reason? Like more fear, huh? So this is what I'm doing now. I'm traveling around the world, which is really, really awesome. And so back to football. Like, coming up, I looked at the NFL and all this stuff, and the awareness I got, the same thing with the human experience when I was a kid, is that it's not enough. It's not enough. And when we can acknowledge that, yeah, we have all these wonderful things that we really would like to do and we really like to change the world, right? It's not enough. It's not enough. And so my call to action is to really start asking yourself questions, And so my talk of the value of consciousness, because it really has a value. Or actually, it doesn't have a value because it's priceless. Because the more aware, the more conscious you're willing to be, things can start to show up that don't fit. They don't fit into your understanding. They don't fit into your mind, And it's funny, like we go around and we claim that us as humans are the most conscious things on the planet. But if you really look at it, we're actually the most unconscious things on the planet, right? You don't ever see a bird that has having a bad hair day and then they're grumpy the whole day, right? Whenever you go into nature, you know how you just feel that like peace, where you kind of get a sense that the trees and the animals and the rocks and the streams, that they all have something to contribute to us, right? And it's just that relaxation. When you get around a person who has no judgment of you, you have that same peace. You have that same relaxation throughout your whole body. That's the value of consciousness. And it's so empowering. It really empowers you to be more, to do more, to have more, to create more, to generate more, to change more, you know? And it's funny because listening today, you guys have so many wonderful ideas. And the one thing I see, though, it's like we spend all this time trying to make the human experience right. But what if you acknowledge it's not enough, right? Would you be willing to have more?
Yes.
Yeah. All right, so I want to leave you with 2 questions, okay? One is a question that I use all the time. Something wonderful shows up, something not so wonderful shows up. I ask this question: how does it get any better than this? Okay? Because that's a place where you can keep allowing your life to expand and you can keep allowing things to show up that are going to really contribute to what you'd like to create in the world. And the second question is, what else is possible? Thank you.